Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julie Aldrich, and welcome to the new Grantee orientation. A few housekeeping before we get started. As mentioned, you can turn on the closed captioning on your screen as well by clicking down onto the left side. I have turned it on for everyone in the presentation as well as for the recording. If you'd like to at this time, you can introduce yourself in the chat box with your organization's name or your the grantee's name if you're from a partner organization. And you can also list your city and state of where you are, or town or state. We're going to use the chat box for orientation for the introductions and the question and answer box. If you have any questions, please utilize the question and answer box as well. And everyone is muted right now, and you can unmute yourselves as well if you have a question and you'd like to verbally ask it during the presentation. We have little sections where we'll be stopping and pausing to ask questions. So our overview of our agenda today is going to be an introduction to OVW and the JFF program. And we're going to go through the Justice for Families staff as well. Just for reference, my name is Julie Aldrich, and I'm team lead for the Justice for Families program and Legal Assistance for Victims program. We're going to also understand the roles of OVW grant specialists, the technical assistance providers, and grantees. We're going to provide a foundation to successfully managing your grant award. We're going to get to know each other a little bit better. Even though we're virtual, we're going to have little introductions towards the end of the presentation. We're also going to have a chance to meet a couple of the TA providers, technical assistants, who will be assisting you in navigating your projects as well. The Office on Violence Against Women provides federal leadership in developing the national capacity to reduce violence against women and administer justice for and strengthen services to victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. The purpose of the Justice for Families program, as you know, is one of the 19 discretionary grant programs of the Office on Violence Against Women. And the JFF program works to improve the response of all aspects of the civil and criminal justice system to families with a history of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking, or in cases involving allegations of child sexual abuse. I do want to point out that the language of child sexual abuse, the broader issue of child abuse, such as physical abuse of a child, is outside the scope of the JFF program. Projects under JFF offer a coordinated approach to supervise visitation, training, court-based and court-related programs, and civil legal services, with most grantees providing a combination of these services. So at this time, I wanted to introduce the Justice for Families team. As I said, my name is Julie Aldrich, and I'm the team lead on the Justice for Families program. And I have been with OVW for a little over 7 years, and very excited to welcome all of the new FY22 grantees. And I'm going to toss it over to Lauren Nasikas if she wants to introduce herself as well.
Thanks, Julie. Lauren Nasikas, I'm an associate director at the Office on Violence Against Women. I've been here a long time. I've been here since, I think, 1996. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for applying to the congratulations on getting the award. This is our Justice for Families program is one of our more competitive programs. So fantastic work. And you are in wonderful hands with Julie and Mo. So again, thank you for coming. Welcome. And well, I'm going to pass it to Mo, I think.
Thanks, Lauren. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maureen Monagle, although you can call me Mo. I am new to OVW. I'm about a little over a month in. And I'm really excited to be working with you and supporting you on your projects. I am not new to the work. I've been in the field of domestic violence for a long time, about 20 years or so, but just new to OVW in this role. So I'm excited to be working with you.
Thank you. We're very excited to have Mo on our team as well. All right, so we've included our contact information here. Either Mo or I are assigned to your award as your OVW grant specialist. And you can find this out either going into Just Grants or on the emails that we sent welcoming you and giving you the information for orientation. And you may have noticed that I would say go to your award document, but that would only be true for about half of you. My name is on the award documents. Mo joined us after the awards were made, so please refer back to Just Grants, the current information, and the letters that we sent out. We've also included contact information for Lauren and the general email inbox for JFF, just in case you are unsure at any point of who to contact with any questions. But please reach out to us. We love questions. All right, so as a grantee and the recipient of federal funding, your role includes using that funding to improve services in the justice system as described in your application and award, keeping OVW informed of progress toward project goals and objectives, and submitting performance reports and financial reports. On behalf of OVW, Mo and I will provide federal grants administration and program expertise. We also provide guidance and oversight of your project throughout your grant award period and serve as your primary point of contact for any questions related to your award or project. We will review and approve all your performance reports and any products created under your award. We will also monitor all grant-funded activities, including deliverables and compliance with award conditions. And then we will talk about technical assistance providers, or more commonly referred to as TA providers, and we will meet them a little bit later in the presentation. They are funded by OVW to provide specialized training and technical assistance to you as grantees. TA providers utilize experts in the field and have many resource tools available. Working with a TA provider gives you access to experienced faculty, and TA providers offer training opportunities for you and your project partners and can provide direct technical assistance to address issues or concerns specific to your site. So hopefully this kind of gives you a little overview of our roles, your role, and the technical assistance provider's role. And if you ever have a question of where those roles fall, please don't hesitate to contact us. Mo and I are here to help you implement your projects within the scope of the JFF program. This slide provides a little more detail on what that means. We'll review, edit, and approve products developed under the project to ensure they are within the scope of the program and project and do not compromise victim safety. You may have a TA provider assist you in creating or updating products, but OVW gives formal approval of those products. We monitor grantees throughout site visits and office-based reviews. And also based on conversations with you as the grantee and TA providers, we may suggest trainings and will approve trainings, workshops and other things that you would like to attend under your project. We can also recommend consultation with OVW TA providers or mentor courses and will serve as a single point of contact for grant administration. And we'll review on how to get those approvals in the upcoming slides using Just Grants. As you work through your grant activities, you may have questions and wonder who to ask. Here are a couple examples. You may ask your collaborative partners. Who wants to help with the training on domestic violence for your new visitation monitors? What kind of DV training does our staff need to implement the grant project effectively? And when and how often should our project partners meet? Questions you may want to ask TA providers. We are having a hard time getting our judges trained on DV. Any advice? They will have a lot of advice. We need to implement a strategy to help with custody decision-making. Are there resources or tools we can use? And then they will point you in the direction of good resources and tools that fit your community. We want to strengthen our policies and procedures to be more culturally responsive. Can someone guide us through the process? And they absolutely can. OVW. These are good questions to ask OVW, so Mo or myself. We have received feedback from a TA provider on our policies and procedures, and we are ready to submit for review. How do I submit in Just Grants for OVW approval? Can we use OVW funds to attend this training? We'll definitely be able to give you guidance on that. And we think we need to make changes to the budget or scope. What should we include in a GAM? Please reach out to us about any questions about those types of things that affect your award. As the grantee, you are responsible for implementing the project and maintaining good records. You should follow the records and retention policies for grants in 2 CFR 200, financial records, supporting documents, statistical records, and all other non-federal entity records pertinent to a federal award must be retained for a period of 3 years from the date of submission of the final expenditure report. Keep grant documents, products, correspondence, and other official documents related to the grant in a central place that can be accessed by more than one employee in case of turnover. Just Grants will be your official grant file and very important for audits, monitoring, and other inquiries. But it is also probably a good idea if there's other supporting documentation that you want to keep, such as correspondence that's on someone's email in a grant file that is centrally located. So if that person were to leave or be out of the office for an extended period of time, that is easily accessible and can be understood by someone taking over. As the grantee, it is your responsibility to ensure day-to-day activities of the project are implemented according to the approved project activities and approved budget, and all activities remain within the scope of the project. This will include coordinating with grants and community partners. So if you weren't approved to, for an example, if you weren't approved to conduct supervised visitation in your award, even though it's an allowable activity under Justice for Families, your specific project did not cover that. So if you wanted to add that or change your project to include that, that would be a scope change, and because that would be out of scope of your current approved project. Keep in touch with your OVW grant manager and technical assistance providers. We are here to help you be as successful as possible throughout the life of your award, so please do reach out anytime. And I think I might repeat that a lot, is to reach out anytime. We really, really value good communication, and no question is, you know, too small or too little, or you should know it. We would definitely want to hear from you, and we would love to have a good foundation to start your projects, and that begins with communication and questions. So a good foundation is critical. Starting your award on a solid foundation is super critical. Anyone involved in spending grant funds or tracking grant funds should have a good understanding of grant accounting principles. We have a session focused on grants financial management tomorrow, and other financial trainings will be available throughout the course of your award. Understanding your organization's financial systems, financial management principles, and record-keeping practices are also key to maintaining good accounting practices. Accurately documenting your grant activities in performance reports and financial reports, and understanding when you need formal approval of a change to your award through a grant award modifications are also critical to your grant. We're going to cover these modifications in more detail in just a moment. All right, I'm going to take a pause here and see if there are any questions. Mo, are there any questions in the chat so far?
Sorry, Julie, my unmute button disappeared for a minute. No, I'm not seeing any questions. Everyone's just introducing themselves so far.
Wonderful. And you can always use the question and answer or the chat, you know, try to keep the question answers in the question answer place, and then we can be able to see them a little bit better. Wonderful. If anyone has a question they want to unmute themselves quickly, feel free. Give it a moment. All right, we're going to move on, and Mo is going to take over here.
So now we're going to talk about Just Grants. All of you now have some experience with the Just Grant system through the application process and accepting awards. This grants management system was launched by DOJ 2 years ago to manage all DOJ grants under one system. As mentioned earlier today, Just Grants houses the official grant file for your award. All OVW grants or awards also moved to the Automated Standard Application for Payment System, or ASAP, 2 years ago. Both Just Grants and ASAP offer training resources for grantees. We've provided the links in this presentation. OVW also has created some training resources that reflect what you as the grantee will see on your screen when you're in the system. So please reach out to me or Julie if you need any assistance in Just Grants. Please remember to keep all assigned roles and contact information up to date in Just Grants by your entity administrator. We rely on that information to contact you about your award, JFF program news, or training and technical assistance opportunities. Those roles also determine who can submit particular items like reports or GAMs in Just Grants for your award. In Just Grants, grant award modification, or GAMs, focus on true modifications to the award. They're not used for more routine updates to the grant information or for approval of deliverables. So let's review the type of GAMs available in Just Grants. Some GAMs in Just Grants are under the category of financial. A budget clearance GAM will be initiated by an OVW grants financial analyst. They will include comments for changes and clarifications in the grants management comments. The budget clearance GAM will then appear on the grant award administrator's work list in Just Grants. Please take action on the GAM following the comments provided. If you have questions about any of the comments, please reach out to Julie or myself. You should make the changes or provide clarifications and submit the GAM as soon as possible to avoid further delays in approving your budget. After you submit the GAM, it'll be reviewed by your grant specialist. We may change request it back to you if we need further clarification, or we'll approve it to the grant's financial analyst for further review. This process may involve several back and forths, so please keep on top of it and be responsive. Additionally, in some circumstances, after your budgets have been approved, modifying your budgets later in the grant period will require a GAM. Generally, a GAM is required if you are moving more than 10% of the funds across budget categories or adding budget categories that were previously approved with $0. The budget modification GAM will allow you to alter category totals to reflect the amount you now want in each line. You can add, subtract, or edit the category totals as long as the revised budget column is not negative. The federal award amount cannot be edited. You should discuss any budget modifications with your OVW grant specialist before submitting a budget modification GAM. You'll also submit a financial GAM for approval to enter into a non-competitive contractual relationship where the contracted cost exceeds the simplified acquisition threshold, otherwise known as the sole source justification. You should discuss potential sole source contracts with your OVW grant specialist before submitting a sole source GAM. During tomorrow's presentation and the session you'll have with the Grants Financial Management Division, or GFMD, more details of the financial related GAMs will be discussed. Also, please consult the 2022 DOJ Financial Guide for additional information. Some GAMs in Just Grants are under the category of programmatic GAMs with subcategories of cost and scope. If you want to pay a consultant rate in excess of the threshold rate, which is currently set at $650 a day or $81.25 an hour, this is also specified in your awards, you'll submit a programmatic GAM under the cost subcategory. All awards have a condition requiring OVW approval if you want to attend a non-OVW approved training. Some of you may have an award condition specifying that you need OVW approval before accessing funds for a NEPA expense in your budget. To spend these funds that require prior approval by OVW, you would submit a programmatic GAM under the cost subcategory. There may be times you have a budget change that do not require a budget modification GAM, but we will still want to document the OVW approval. So you can submit those changes as a programmatic cost GAM. When you do this, you'll see foreign travel and confidential funds as an option in the GAM drop-down list. Please note they do not apply to your JFF awards. Please pay special attention to the cost and always ask your grant manager if you're unsure if a GAM is appropriate. A scope GAM is appropriate when you are substantially changing something about the scope of your project. So this may include altering activities or the purpose of your project. For example, if you want to add services that were not originally funded to provide. Excuse me. Changing the site of your project would also require a scope GAM. For example, in year 2 of your grant, you may want to move the supervised visitation location from the previously approved location. So site plan and reason for moving would be required in a scope change GAM. A change to the organization or staff with primary responsibility for implementation of the award may also require a change in scope GAM. For example, a change in the project director. This may also include change in key personnel and contracting out otherwise obtaining services of a third party to perform the activities central to the proposed in the award. An example of contracting out services might be if your original grant had for you to hire an attorney for civil legal services within your organizations, and then you decided to contract this out to another organization instead of hiring directly. That would require a change in scope GAM. Please always discuss a change in scope within your award with your OVW grant specialist before submitting a GAM to make sure the changes are allowable and also to discuss any potential changes to the budget. It's hard to believe we're talking about extensions already, but as you reach the end of your project period, you may have enough awarded funds remaining to continue the grant activities past your project period end date. Once you're within the last 90 days of the project period, so for this group, think around July 1st, 2025, you can submit a project period extension GAM to request additional time to complete your goals and objectives. If you are within the last 30 days of a project end date, we can still extend your project period, but OVW will have to initiate the GAM on our side. The extension does not provide additional funds. It only provides more time for you to complete the award goals and objectives. Does anyone have any questions so far? If so, you can unmute yourself or put them in the chat box.
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box.
Okay.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
In reference
Yes.
to key personnel, could you go further in what you would consider key personnel within the grant?
Sure. Well, the definition of key personnel is someone who is instrumental into implementing the project. So, such as the project director. If the project director changed and is funded under the award, you should submit that as a GAM.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, we can move forward. So now your deliverables. Award deliverables are the documents that grantees are required to submit for review and approval per condition of the award or the project's goals and objectives. Some examples of deliverables include supervised visitation policies and procedures, initial site plans for supervised visitation centers, case selection criteria for civil legal services, training materials, including presentations, curricula, and agendas, and any other products that were created with grant funds. Please check your award conditions to see which deliverables are required for your award and check when they should be submitted. Some may be due within 90 days of your award, for example, the case selection criteria. Others should be submitted before beginning those services, such as your supervised visitation site plans and policies. Deliverables should be submitted as an award deliverable in Just Grants. This is a different process from submitting the GAMs that we just discussed. In the presentation, we've included the link. So please reach out to your OVW grant specialist if you're unsure whether to submit materials for a deliverable. We also encourage you to seek feedback from the community partners and the OVW technical assistance providers before submitting to OVW for approval. So please note, the submission of a deliverable does not mean the deliverable has been approved. Your OVW grant specialist may need to change request the material back for you before approving. Your award conditions. So here we've highlighted some of the award conditions to bring to your attention. All of you have award conditions for your participation in OVW sponsored training and to receive prior approval from OVW before using grant funds on any non-OVW approved training. You'll have a special condition limiting your access to FY 2022 funds if you have an open JFF award continuing for a significant amount of time after December 31st, 2022. All grants currently have an award condition that conditionally approves your budget. This means that your budget is currently under review. However, you will notice that your award condition released $10,000 of the award to be used for training and technical assistance. This amount should be reflected in your ASAP account and in the funding availability tab in Just Grants. The $10,000 should not be used for any other purpose except for attending the JFF in-person new grantee orientation, which is scheduled for February. If you are not attending the in-person event, for example, some continuation grantees, then the amount could be used for other OVW in-person training events prior to your budget being approved. Please remember, the budget clearance GAM is a process for approving your budget. Once it is approved, you'll have access to all of your funds, unless you have prior grant ongoing or your funds are held due to a NEPA request. Excuse me. There's also an award condition requiring the specific DOJ disclaimer language on any deliverable created or distributed with grant funds. Language is provided on this slide, and remember, it's in your conditions as well. If you're providing supervised visitation services, there are several award conditions requiring you to submit a site plan, policies, and procedures, and to set up a multidisciplinary team or committee, or to submit a National Environmental Policy Act or the NEPA form if you're planning specific renovation activities. You must submit curriculum for any approval for trainings you are putting on under your award, and submit case selection criteria if providing civil legal services. Some awards have a condition requiring determinations of suitability to interact with participating minors. This condition applies to awards that indicated a purpose of some or all of the award activities by the grantee or subgrantee is to benefit a set of individuals under 18 years of age. For example, supervised visitation services. More details about this requirement are located on OVW's website. We've also included a link in the slide, and it's included in the award condition. All of you also have an award condition about your organization having a policy on responding to workplace-related incidents of sexual misconduct, domestic violence, and dating violence. There's a toolkit to assist you in creating a policy if your organization does not already have one that meets the award condition. Next slide. So we've provided a list that compromise victim safety as most frequent we see in applications on project, but there are several others listed in the solicitation. Please continue to refer to the solicitation as everything listed in that solicitation is applicable to your award. Now, many of you have experienced providing virtual service or some sort of virtual services during COVID. There may be activities your application envisioned happening in person that need to be converted to virtual services during your award period. For example, supervised visitation is generally required to occur in person under the JFF program, but virtual visitation may be allowed based on the need for adapting services to your state's or community's operating status related to COVID. Please contact your OVW grant specialist for approval. Virtual supervised visitation services can only be approved for COVID-related limitations on in-person visits. However, supervised visitation intakes are permitted to continue virtually without a COVID reason, as well as a hybrid court hearings. They may also continue to occur virtually. Policies and procedures for services should include in-person procedures and a plan to allow for virtual services. We'll be able to connect you with many resources created by our TA providers to help you adapt or think through your implementation. Please keep in touch with us over the course of your grant to make sure to help if you need it to make any changes or modifications due to in-person limitations. Take a break now. Are there any questions related to what we just discussed in those past few slides?
I have a couple questions that I just wanted to read aloud. There was one question about, would you be able to provide a sample copy of the policies and procedures to assure that we have all the areas covered? And my response in the chat was, Inspire Action for Social Change is the technical assistance provider for supervised visitation and will be able to assist in drafting and thinking through supervised visitation policies and procedures, or reviewing current policies to ensure that they are in line with the OVW supervised visitation and exchange guiding principles. So you'll hear more about that. A second question I had in the other chat is, what is NEPA? And so in your award conditions, you'll have one of two NEPA conditions. One, if you identified anything to do with installation of security cameras or any other simple modifications related to supervised visitation. If you proposed any costs related to installing anything to a wall or security cameras, especially that are important for your supervised visitation facility, your condition will have had funds held in your award related to that installation costs. I believe most of you actually did not have any funds requested at this time for installing anything. But if you're going to be making any modifications to your building for supervised visitation, please let us know. And also, particularly if you're going to be proposing to use any funds, only simple modifications such as installing security cameras and other security-based measures are approved, but we do need to discuss, there's a special form that we send you to fill out some questions about if you are making any modifications. And that was all the questions I had.
Okay, let's move on to next slide. So performance reporting. Your performance reports are downloaded from the University of Maine's Muskie School of Public Service, and then submitted in just grants for review and approval by OVW. They are then forwarded to the University of Maine's Muskie School of Public Service to consolidate data for reports to Congress. Grantees must submit a performance report even if no grant activities occurred during the reporting period. Please note, performance reports are due 30 days after the reporting period ends, not the last day of the month. Also note, if you are a continuing grantee with an open JFF award, you will have 2 progress reports due, one for your previous award, one for the FY 2022 award. Recorded training is available on the University of Maine's Muskie School of Public Service website, as well as instructions on completing the report, and we've provided that link in the PDF of this presentation. Or financial reports. Federal financial reports, or FFRs, are submitted in Just Grants quarterly. Grantees must submit an FFR even if no funds were spent or obligated during the reporting period. Please note, FFRs are due 30 days after the reporting period ends, not the last day of the month. So keep in mind that submitting performance reports or FFRs after the due date will result in awards funds being frozen and can have a negative impact on consideration of your project for future funding. Also note, if you are continuing grantee with an open JFF award, you will have 2 FFRs due, one for the previous award and one for the FY 2022 award. Your closeout. It's hard to think about closeout right now, but we'll be there soon. So for closeouts, within 120 days after the end of your project period, you will complete the items in the closeout section of Just Grants, such as submitting the final federal financial fiscal report, the final performance report, and drawing down any final grant funds owed to you. Your OVW grant specialist will help guide you through the closeout process. Are there any questions relating those few slides?
There are no questions in the chat regarding those. There was a follow-up question about whether the Center for Court Innovation would be providing technical assistance for family court case screening tools. And my response was yes, the Center, but for court-based and court-related policies and screening tools and other resources, the Center for Court Innovation is the targeted assistance technical assistance provider for courts. And we'll hear from them in a little bit. All right. So OVW training opportunities are listed on ta2ta.org, and you can filter for JFF specific opportunities. You can also receive direct communication from OVW technical assistance providers about upcoming trainings, such as the 2 we already mentioned, Center for Court Innovation, known as CCI, and Inspire Action for Social Change, commonly referred to as Inspire. Some OVW training opportunities are not directly related to JFF. For example, a training directed to another OVW grant program. And this may require prior approval from OVW with a GAM before using grant funds to attend. So say you are in a rural area and you find a training program on the TA2TA website that is really of interest and relevant to your project, but doesn't look like it's JFF specific. Maybe it's put on by the rural program, but it's very applicable to your project. You may request to use funds to attend that. You may also request find non-OVW training opportunities you would like to attend, such as a national conference or a local bar association training. These kinds of trainings also require OVW approval with a GAM before you use grant funds to attend. In your welcome email from Mo and I, we sent the form that you are to complete for using funds for non-OVW training opportunities. So where to get assistance? We've listed the 3 places of most commonly used besides contacting Mo and I. Grant's Financial Management Division, GFMD, we've listed their phone number and the 2022 DOJ Financial Guide, as well as the general email box for ovw.gfmd@usdoj.gov. GFMD will be a great resource for a lot of financial related questions. You can always start asking Mo and I, and if it's beyond our expertise, we will definitely loop in GFMD or send your email to them as well. Just Grant support, we have listed their information here and also training resources. You may notice that this is the OVW Just Grant support help desk. When you're on the Just Grants website, you may see a couple different Just Grant support desks. We ask that you contact the OVW Just Grant support desk first, so we can help triage your issues from our standpoint. The Muskie School of Public Service, we mentioned this when we were talking about performance reports. So this is something you'll probably talk to them more in January if you've gotten started, a little bit later if you haven't gotten started yet. But they'll be able to definitely answer questions once you get into the report and see how things are about how to count FTEs and how to count new families and existing families for supervised visitation or counting advocacy service, etc. So attendance at orientation. So we sent out a few resources already. We sent out the welcome letter that told you about this session and sessions after this. And we also sent out the checklist. So the checklist is going to be a tool that you guys can use to keep your tracking of what you attended and what you need to attend still. So resources for information on the JFF orientation will all be housed on the ta2ta.org website, including this presentation, as well as the checklist and any other future webinars and materials for the in-person new grantee orientation. Attendance at live sessions is expected. However, all sessions will be recorded and posted on ta2ta.org, JFF orientation page, if you have a conflict in attending the live session. Or if after attending the live session, you think, oh my goodness, this would be a really great session for our partner or another person in our office to view, it's a great opportunity to be able to share those sessions with them so that they can be fully engaged in the process as well. And speaking of being engaged, please be fully engaged in each session as if it were an in-person meeting. We really stress this. We do not require to have your cameras on, it's your comfort level, but we do ask that you're not engaging in other activities while in these sessions. Tracking form should be completed and signed by your grant award administrator and submitted in Just Grants as a deliverable no later than February 15th, 2023. If you are not required to go to in-person orientation, feel free to submit it earlier. We left it a little bit later for those who will be attending the in-person portion. But very important to submit that. If you have thoroughly read your award conditions, which I hope everyone has, then you will see in your award conditions that attendance at the new grantee orientation is required per your award conditions. And that is how we know that you attended the virtual portion and or the in-person portion. All right, so upcoming new grantee orientation webinars. So just to review them to make sure everyone knows when they are. All FY22 grantees should have attended today and will attend tomorrow. The overview of the Financial Management Division with our Grants Financial Management Division, GFMD, should be attended by your grant award administrator and financial point of contact. Even if you've already received OVW funds or JFF funds in the past, it is really important that you attend the GFMD presentation tomorrow. Some things will be highlighted from the FY22 DOJ Financial Guide, which was released in the spring. So I highly recommend you attend the session live if possible. A couple sessions are only for new JFF grantees and new project directors. And I'll correct that. They're only required for new JFF grantees or if you're a new project director on a continuation grant. That doesn't mean that if you are not required to attend, that you cannot attend. We would welcome you to attend. Always a good refresher. We're just not expecting that to be filled out in your tracking form, but feel free to attend and feel free to list it in your tracking form if you do. We'll have on December 13th, and these all start at 1 except for tomorrow's is at 2. So the following ones start at 1, but they're all on your tracking form and in your email from your letter. We'll have our overview of grant fraud investigations from OIG. And on December 14th, we'll have overview of grant audits from OIG as well. And December 15th, civil rights obligations of federal recipients of financial assistance. And in the new year, on January 5th, 2023, we're going to have an overview of the TA to TA website. Also super important, that's where we find all the training, where you're going to be able to utilize resources and trainings from OVW. So again, the links are to register if you have not already done it, are on your checklist, your tracking form, and in the emails that you got from Mo and I. So further upcoming new grantee orientation webinars, new JFF grantees and project directors, the Just Grants trainings are all recorded. So on the link previously in the presentation, we have put the link to Just Grants training. Please watch recorded trainings and certify who has viewed the trainings. There are many trainings on the website, so definitely get to know Just Grants if you have not already. The trainings are a great resource to submit GAMs, to submit deliverables, to managing your account and people listed in your account, your entity administrator. Just Grants really is the key to a good administration of your award. There will be a presentation. We've linked the recording on your checklist as well for the Muskie progress reporting, the Justice for Families training video. It's a 2-part training video, and this should be definitely watched before you have to submit your first report on January 30th, 2023. Additional optional webinars are on your checklist. If they are of interest to you, please attend. They will also be recorded, and please share with your partners in case it is of interest to them as well. In-person new grantee orientation, which we're very excited about. It's been about 2 years since we have had an in-person piece of new grantee orientation. And new grantees and new project directors will be required to attend. It'll be 2.5 days from February, tentatively scheduled from February 1st through 3rd, 2023. The location is tentatively Brooklyn, New York. But please do not book any travel as the new grant orientation in-person event is still under pending review. So, but if you wanted to just book, block out on your calendar, January 31st is the travel date, as we will start in the morning on the 1st, and we will end half day on the 3rd. So you can kind of think about what that looks like for travel as well. There'll be a lot more information about orientation, the in-person piece, and I know Center for Court Innovation's already sent out some stuff, so we'll be slowly trickling out information and letting you know when you can travel or book your travel. So now we're going to do a little bit of a round robin, and we're going to start with introducing the sites that are here. And if one person from each site can just unmute themselves and do their location, including city, town, state, their purpose, areas of their project, and something that you are hopeful JFF funding can improve in your community, and a challenge that you may anticipate when implementing your project. So I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. And we are going to start with, I'm actually just going to go into the chat of who introduced themselves. And I'm going to start with the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence.
Hi, this
Hi.
is Erica from MCEDV. My coworker and I were just playing the game, a little game of hot potato about who was going to do our check-in. So, sorry for the delay there. So our coalition is based out of Augusta, Maine, which is our state capital, but we have been all remote since 2015. So we are all sprinkled throughout the state, working in our homes for the most part. Our key partner on this grant, Home to Home, is based out of Brunswick, Maine. And Annie, the program supervisor there, is here today as well. The purpose areas that our project is addressing is supervised visitation and training for our court professionals. So the Battered Women's Justice Project is going to come in and introduce their SAFER model to all of our state judicial officers. Our state's committed to sending all of the judicial officers to that training. I think one of the biggest challenges to implementing our project is going to be, I would say probably getting new courts on board with the supervised visitation program in the area that we're doing this project, which is Androscoggin County. We don't have a lot of supervised visitation programs in our state, which was one of the reasons why we wanted to expand a really successful existing one, but it's still a bit of a sell with some of our judicial branch folks, which is why we're hoping that the training coupled with the expansion of this program will help complement each other.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That sounds great. I'm very excited for your project. We are going to move to the Crime Victim Center for St. Louis.
Hi, my name is Katie Dalton. I'm the Executive Director of the Crime Victim Center. We are located in St. Louis City in Missouri. St. Louis is a unique city where we have different jurisdictions from our county to our city. So this project is focusing on St. Louis City. Our purpose project, I was looking at purpose areas real quick to make sure I was saying them correctly, but our goal is to enhance and try to standardize some sort of domestic violence court in St. Louis City around orders of protections. Something that we're hopeful to do and to improve this community is to improve some safety and accessibility for folks filing for orders of protections in St. Louis City. And then a challenge that I anticipate is probably some judicial buy-in, is what I assume our challenge will be.
Great. Thank you, Katie. And our next one I'm going to call on is Gulf Coast Center for Nonviolence.
Hi, I'm Sarah Jones. I'm with the Gulf Coast Center for Nonviolence. Sorry, I'm going to turn and look at my camera. We're located in Biloxi, Mississippi. And so our purpose areas, we're looking at a lot of training and trying to get some early contact with victims, supervised visitation. And so we have a variety of things that we're doing on the project, and we're really, really excited about it. Some concerns. We have a lot of support from our courts, so I'm really excited about that. But just some a little bit of buy-in from some of the agencies that we're working with.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Next, I'm going to call on the District of Columbia Courts.
Hi, my name is Megan Napolitano, and I'm the grant award administrator for this award at the courts. And our purpose area is court and court-based programs and services. And this award is going to do a couple of things for us. It's going to support hiring a kind of front desk clerk at our domestic violence intake center in the southeast quadrant of the city. It's also going to support some rental costs at that facility, and it will allow us to work with DC Safe, who is our direct service provider, in funding some of their positions that will work directly out of the Southeast Center.
And can you think of any obstacle or challenge you may have in this project?
I think one of the challenges we'll have is getting back into on-site operations. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes and how we're able to handle all of that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. And next up, the Community Violence Intervention Center.
Hi, this is Carrie. I don't know if you can see me, and I have AJ here with me, and I know Amber is also on this call. We're from Community Violence Intervention Center in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Our purpose areas for this round are supervised visitation, working with our courts. We have a specialized domestic violence court, and then also this time around, we're going to be working on civil legal issues services as well. Something that we're hopeful for is to hopefully increase our access to culturally aware services. I'm just reading it from our application here for BIPOC, immigrant, refugee, LGBTQ clients, and rural clients. And I haven't really thought about a challenge yet, just because we have had previous JFF funding. We just closed out our past award, and so we're excited to start this new one. I think the continued challenge for us just is engaging our rural communities, because our county is spread out quite wide in North Dakota. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Carrie.
yeah.
And next up is the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
Hi, everyone. Lucy.
Oh, we only heard you for a second, Lucy.
Let me get closer. Hold on. Sound. How about now? Is that better?
We can only hear you very tiny.
How about now? How about
Still
now?
a little quiet. Yeah, still a little quiet.
Interesting. Wait, what am I doing here?
We can always circle back if you want to tinker with the volume stuff.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll come back to Lucy. The Children's Home and Aid.
Good afternoon. This is Jeannie Higdon, and I am with Children's Home Aid. I'm our program manager, and we're part of a statewide organization throughout the entire state of Illinois, but this program is located in Bloomington, Illinois, and we are a supervised visit location. We are a renewal grant, and we're very excited about this because our program is the only one that serves 5 counties. So it's a large area that desperately needs this type of resource. So we're very excited about that. And something I hope that we can improve is just that continued improved safety for survivors and the children, so they to limit re-exposure or potential risk of harm. And a challenge that I anticipate is just that serving 5 counties provides its own type of challenge. We've got some great coalitions established and great community partners. So we're very excited about providing these services to our communities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And next up is the Family Crisis Centers.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We are in Sioux Center, Iowa, which is northwest Iowa, for those who aren't very familiar with Iowa's geography. The purpose areas we are addressing are family visitation and training for court personnel. I think for us, what we're excited about with this grant is just that there really aren't programs that do supervised visitation in Iowa. And so having come from doing victim advocacy at family crisis centers for the last several years, I know especially for our DV advocates, putting supervised visitation and protection orders is something we're really excited to have the opportunity to do for the first time, as well as just having this service available for anyone who needs it. But one challenge I would say we're already kind of experiencing as we're getting started is that because we're the first program like this, there's no one to ask advice for. So I am excited to learn about the TA because I think I will be talking to them a lot.
Absolutely. And they are here for exactly that and to connect you with other previous year's grantees who can also assist. Wonderful. Thank you. And Jacksonville City of Jacksonville?
Hi, my name is Will Evans. I'm the contract manager for the city of Jacksonville for the Jacksonville Visitation Project. Like I said, we're located in Jacksonville, Florida. Our main purpose areas that supervise visitation and safe exchange, as well as training for cost-based and court-related personnel. One of the things that we're grateful for as far as this grant goes, that we are a continuation grant. We've had this grant for the past 8 years, and it's made a significant change within our community. And we're grateful for the fact that we're able to continue this grant, provide the well-needed services for the city of Jacksonville. The one challenge that I do anticipate, and this is just based on evidence from other contracts that I manage for the city, is that currently there's a challenge with maintaining employment within these projects. So hopefully that doesn't rear itself in the future, but it has been a challenge that we anticipate occurring.
Great. Thank you, Will. And the Los Angeles Center of Law and Justice?
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm from the Los Angeles Center for Law and Justice. We are located in Los Angeles, California, but our project actually partners with community intake centers throughout the state of California. And our purpose areas are enhancing court infrastructure and civil legal assistance. What we're really hoping to accomplish is making sure that survivors that are filing requests for restraining orders are starting strong with a really solid, complete, clear application for restraining order and a full declaration that allows the court to make the orders requested and focuses on the appropriate facts. And also in expanding access to pro bono attorneys, private pro bono attorneys, to provide civil legal assistance in restraining order matters. I think a challenge that we faced in the last grant period and will probably continue to face is in scaling and finding the right balance of the number of partners that are doing these restraining order applications with our project, and being able to balance how many applications are being done in a day and how many attorneys are available to review, because that just fluctuates so much. And so scheduling has been an issue where sometimes we have attorneys available and no petitions, or sometimes there are too many petitions in a certain day. And so just kind of figuring out how to have the resources available to survivors in a way that accounts for that variance in services.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. And also the next one up is CASA of the Pikes Peak region.
Hi, everybody. This is Angela Rose. I'm from Casa de Pikes Peak region, and we are in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And our purpose areas are, we have a supervised visitation program here. We also have a DV court, and we hope to get the judges up and trained as part of this new process, and also continue to work on some offender risk assessments through the DV court that can be implemented before sentencing. Things that I'm really hopeful and excited about on this, we have it was our judge who ran the DV court here for years, and he is now retired, and he's going to be assisting us with this training. So I think that will really help us get the information needed to the bench, because I think they'll be much more likely to hear it from a judge than maybe from somebody else. So I think that's going to be really positive, and I'm excited about that. And we're also partnering with 3 new organizations to do training both for the bench and for our CASA employees and volunteers that work with the supervised visitation program. And that is a LGBTQ plus organization, a new DV organization in Colorado Springs, and then another DV organization that focuses on Hispanic, Latinx victims, domestic violence victims. So super excited about all of that. I think our biggest challenge, I'll just be really transparent. This is the first time that we have been the lead on the grant. And so we just want to make sure that we do everything right, but it is a lot. So I think I'll be calling Julie a lot and depending on the technical assistance. But that I think will be our biggest challenge. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Angela. And yes, we welcome questions and communication. So do not hesitate. Moving on to Women Helping Women.
Hi, my name is Rachel Strassinger, and I'm the Grant Award Administrator for this project. Women Helping Women is a dual DVSA victim service provider and a qualified rape crisis center. And we serve Adams, Brown, Butler, and Hamilton counties in Southwest Ohio. This project covers Hamilton County, and it includes Purpose Area 5, enhancing existing court-based and court-related programs. Purpose Area 6, expanding civil legal advocacy services available, and providing training and education for court-based and court-related and court-appointed personnel under Purpose Area 3 and individuals working within the justice system, which is Purpose Area 8. We are hopeful that JFF can improve the system's response to survivors, particularly increasing accessibility for underserved providers, and just ensuring that survivors have a better experience as they navigate these court systems. And I guess anytime you have partners that you're not the boss of, I guess the challenge is always just you're hopeful your partners will follow through on what they agreed to do when you were working on that MOU with them. So
thank you, Rachel. Yes, I think one of the common themes is partnerships, and that is definitely something our technical assistance focuses on a lot through individual technical assistance and through group technical assistance. So we'll definitely have a lot of support for all of you with those challenges. And next up, Justice and Diversity Center of the Bar Association of San Francisco.
You almost caught me double tasking. But you did not, because I was actually just looking at your notes. This is a very hard time for us. As many agencies, we are suffering from, turnover, and therefore double and triple tasking are sometimes unavoidable. And I'm sure everyone can sympathize with that. We are in San Francisco. I am Antonia Moore. I am the Director of Pro Bono Legal Services and the lead on this grant. We have two grant partners, Woman Inc. and the Cooperative Restraining Order Clinic. Everybody's in San Francisco, lucky us, in California. The purpose of our grant is to improve the court practices that and staff the court dockets, improving services for survivors there. That's what our Cooperative Restraining Order Clinic, CROC, does. We also provide holistic legal services. That's our piece. We have a dedicated staff attorney, Alex Mendoza, and if he's on, I apologize for grabbing his spotlight, but I can't tell. And we also work with Woman Inc. As mentioned, Woman Inc. provides even further services in terms of social services, counseling, safety planning, all that. So we hope to, with this grant, give a survivor a one-stop shop, because a lot of what happens, even in a city as rich with social services as San Francisco, is that people get the shuffle. They go here, then they've got to go there. And each time they're giving a different phone number or a different list of resources, we lose people. So we want to keep them and provide them the services they need without them having to go out there and advocate for themselves across the city. And I think this is a repeat grant for us, and we've had a lot of success and positive feedback with that approach. So I'm hopeful that with JFF funding, we can continue to do that, that we will see increased numbers of people that are being able to obtain their restraining orders on the first go round, and that they don't have to come back and go outside again of our triad. A challenge that I anticipate is a challenge that we faced last time. It's a rare challenge, but we do every once in a while get a language that we have difficulty finding an interpreter for. So we're looking to meet that challenge. I have made contacts with some individuals in the areas and smaller organizations that deal with, for example, the Burmese community for that reason, because they're very hard to find. As you know, as one of several, having stood in a line in court with a English to Spanish, Spanish to an Indian or native South American language, and then a translator to sign language. With 4 of us standing in line, I know that these things can be very challenging. Once you've experienced that, you will sympathize. So thank you very much. That's it for JFF.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's interpretation and translation is always a challenge, especially with languages that are less common or harder to find, especially in a court environment. And we do have technical assistance that if you're struggling, we will definitely make sure you guys are connected and aware of the technical assistance that can help you. Wonderful, thank you. Moving on to the Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Albany, or rather the Domestic Violence Project.
Hi, I'm Jean Norty, and I'll speak for our group today. We're based in Glens Falls, New York, and we serve Warren and Washington counties in New York. And we're under the Diocese of Albany Catholic Charities, and our particular program is called the Domestic Violence Program of Warren and Washington counties. Our partners on this project are the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York and the family courts of Warren County and Washington County. And we have a diverse group of activities that we're planning to do. We're looking to base some of our advocates, 2 of our advocates on site, in one in Warren and one in Washington at the family courts, as well as Legal Aid Society having dedicated civil legal services for those survivors of domestic violence, accessing family courts. A big piece of what we're going to do is a training project for court personnel and related personnel, law guardians, etc. Working with the entity called Safe and Together, which is well known for looking at how do we better think about domestic violence where there's children involved, and shifting a whole paradigm shift towards understanding the strengths and of the survivor and how they're contributing to safety of the child and holding the offender accountable. So, and then there's an outreach piece, reaching out to let our community know more about their rights and options, including in family court. And rural communities is the underserved community we're focusing on in this project. And so our outreach will be particularly dedicated to the rural parts of our 2 counties, of which there are many. And as part of this whole thing, we are not creating supervised visitation center, but we're planning to provide TA, include in all the training and all the activities, an existing, it's not a full-fledged supervised visitation project, but a child care center in the community that our courts sometimes use for that purpose. So we want to help them be better equipped to supervise those cases where domestic violence is involved. Let's see, something we're hopeful about. Well, it's that paradigm shift that I mentioned that we're really hopeful about how that can create, a much broader, farther reaching justice for survivors and their families in terms of really being seen, for survivors to really being seen by family courts and other related professionals for how they are surviving and what they are doing and giving them credit for all of that, as well as how we can better, by being on site, how we can better be a part of keeping that in the mix. And in a way, the challenge is the same thing. Paradigm shifts are hard, and yeah, it'll be new, it's a different way of thinking about things for different folks. Our child protective services in our community have already had some of this training, and so it's trying to move it into this related system of family court. So, and there's a lot to do, so that's a challenge, but we're excited.
Great, thank you so much. Lots of exciting things to do on the project. Emerge, which is Tucson Centers for Women and Children.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ed Sack. I'm the CEO at Emerge Center Against Domestic Abuse in Tucson. We are doing some work in the court-based programs, but also accountability programs related to that. We'll be expanding our presence in our dedicated specialized domestic violence court that we have here in Tucson, which gives us one of the benefits of not having to work for judicial buy-in. We already have an existing strong relationship there with the judge over that court. But also we'll be expanding our work with men who use abusive behaviors, specifically creating some spaces for accountability to include a new hotline that men can reach out to when they are on the brink of using abusive behaviors. And we are very excited for that. We've seen some good indications that it's worked in other communities actually around the world, and are excited to bring that to our community. So that's something we're very hopeful for, but also serves as the area that we anticipate some challenge, just knowing that there are difficulties in men being willing to be vulnerable enough to reach out for support when they need it most. But we are definitely excited about trying to make some cultural shifts that allow that to happen.
Wonderful, thank you. And next up, the Journey Center for Safety and Healing.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the grant award administrator on the grant. We are located in Cleveland, Ohio, but we serve all of Cuyahoga County. Our purpose areas are the supervised visitation and safe exchanges, and also the purpose area of court and court-based programs and services. Let's see, something we're hopeful. So we are a continuation grant, and with our grant, we established an intake center at our domestic relations court, and they have a DV unit within the domestic relations court there. And what we're hopeful for is for this grant to continue to eliminate the barriers with having that intake specialist in the court. Well, right now it's virtually, the court is virtual still, and being able to help get survivors the needed visitation services that they need right away instead of having to wait to get an appointment for their intake. A challenge we anticipate when implementing our GFF project, I think keeping up with what the courts are wanting to do, virtual and non-virtual, is probably a barrier for most of us. And also, I think also continually educating the courts about our services and that we have that intake specialist available right away after the hearing for any of the survivors that they are seeing in courts. And that's about it.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, the continuous virtual and in-person for courts and supervised visitation continues to be a struggle. Next up, the South Dakota Network Against Family Violence and Sexual Assault.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm the project director here at the South Dakota Network Against Family Violence and Sexual Assault. We are located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but we do have some partners throughout the state in other towns such as Mitchell, South Dakota, and then Rapid City, South Dakota as well. We have 3 purpose areas for our project: the supervised visitation and safe exchange services, the court and court-based program services, and then civil legal assistance. So really looking forward to providing additional services and supports for survivors and victims trying to petition for protection orders. That's a great need here in South Dakota. And so we're really excited to offer some of that extra support around that. And then another thing we're really excited about with the court-based services are to partner with Lutheran Social Services to provide lethality assessments for offenders, and then working with the courts on recommendations for treatment and all of that as well. So something we're hopeful for with the JFF funding is just to increase victim safety overall for our families, and just that cohesive piece of through the systems and the responses. The families go through all these different service systems. So just increasing and improving the response overall for families that are interacting with all these different systems, and then improving the offender accountability through the lethality and risk assessments to really get into that person, who they are, sort of what brought them to this point, and working towards change after that as well. A challenge that we anticipate is that our hope is to look at expanding the risk assessments for offenders across the state of South Dakota, but it's a really lofty goal. And so we're excited to see what that looks like, and expanding that. There's a lot of desire for it to be consistent and expand across the state. And so we also anticipate that to be a challenge in terms of sustainability.
Wonderful. Thank you, Olivia. And next up is the family place.
Hi, I'm Lauren Rose with the Family Place. I'm the grants manager. We are located in Dallas, Texas, and serve the DFW Metroplex. We have the supervised visitation as well as the court and court-based programs and services. Something hopeful we're looking forward to this year, the next couple years with our funding. We're ultimately an emergency shelter for our DV clients, but we have expanded into other program areas, with the supervised visitation center being one of them. And one of the initiatives when we started that was due to a local fatality that happened when the exchange was going on between a family. And so just with this funding, this has helped us. We're a continued grantee, and so this has helped us build up that program and just to continue to have safe visitations between the family, as well as hopefully keeping that family dynamic and engaging with one another and whatnot. So it has grown very much in the last couple years, and we're excited to continue with that. One of the challenges we anticipate is more related to the external forces and the end of COVID that we've dealt with over the last year or two, is dealing with kind of virtual court hearings and not always being able to be with our clients during those. And so hopefully that's kind of coming to an end, and we're going to have more accessibility to that, but you never know what else is going to come up. But that has been a struggle, and we anticipate we'll see a little bit more of that over the next year or so.
Great, thank you, Lauren. Seems like some of the anticipated challenges are theming over here with the virtual and in-person kind of both happening and transitioning back. Parents and children together.
Aloha, I'm Celine Roberts. I'm the program director for our visitation programs on Oahu and Kauai. Our purpose is to improve collaboration efforts with the court systems. We have Fifth Circuit on Kauai and First Circuit Court on Oahu that we're collaborating with. And it came to our attention sort of organically as I also oversee our shelter programs, that we have a large population here in Hawaii of folks from COFA, which is the Compact of Free Association. They come from Palau, they come from Micronesia and the Marshall Islands, and they have very high barriers. And just in general, Hawaii is known as a melting pot. And so we have large immigration populations here, and English language learners, people that are really struggling to even just understand the English language, and then trying to access services and understand our court systems. And so what had happened is one of our survivors in our shelter was not complying with the court order for visitation. So I reached out to her, and she just did not even understand that she could lose custody of her children if she didn't follow the court order and comply with the visitation. So it took a very long conversation, and intense, trying to understand. And of course, we provide interpreter services, definitely help. But we're reaching out to those populations with this grant. And then what we want to do is we want to report back to the courts on what our findings are and how we can help this population seek services, because what we found was offenders in our Family Peace Center in these populations are court ordered, and we have quite a lot of, in fact, I would say the majority of the program's participants are from these populations, but the survivors are not getting services anywhere. And so we know police are showing up on scene, they're making arrests, but survivors are not having that next level access to services. So that's what we want to do with this grant. And we want to make sure that we report back to the court systems on what our findings are, so that they can also use that information in their own work in reaching out to the same populations. And I would also like to just put a plug in for the TA folks. This is the second time we've had this opportunity, and I will say the TA that is provided is life-changing for our programs. We've really learned a lot with the TA support, and just we don't have any other providers on Oahu or Kauai that are center-based. We're the only ones. So that means that we might have guardian ad litems, we might have other folks who are doing supervised visits in parks and out in the community like that, but center-based for our very our most dangerous clients, I'll just say it that way, I don't know how else to say it, with our high risk, where we really need all of our security systems in place. Those folks, we're the only ones on both islands that are able to provide that service for supervised visitation at that level. I guess a challenge would be, what do we do with that information once we have it? Our partner in this project is Kokua Kalihi Valley, and they are well known for reaching out to those populations. So we're going to be teaming up with them and going out and doing community outreaches to reach those populations. We're also translating information, our program information, into 5 different languages, or there's most commonly spoken languages here. And, we're anticipating good outcomes, but we know we might hit some barriers just because of the language barriers, and really just trying to address some of the cultural issues that go along with not wanting to seek services and being afraid and reaching out from your cultural group, that those things are frowned on. So those are our challenges.
Hi, thank you so much, Celine. And Safe Alliance? Is anyone from Safe Alliance still on the line?
I think someone from Safe Alliance just put something in the chat.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, you can type your responses in the chat. Thank you so much, Jill. And if Rhode Island Coalition can go again and see if the mic is working a little bit better.
Okay, I turned my volume all the way up. I hope that works. You hear me?
Not quite. Do you want to use the chat as well?
Oh no, sad. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'll run over to my colleague. He's right next door. I'm gonna try his computer. He's on the
Okay.
call as well, so maybe let me just try that.
No problem. Let's see, I can read Safe Alliance's response. I'm Jill Abel from Safe Alliance in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she's going to continue typing her responses. So we'll hear from them. Is anyone from EAC on the line? All right. Anyone from Hopland Bay of Pomo Indians on the line? No. All right. Anyone from Judiciary Courts of the State of Idaho? All right. And
Jill.
oh, yep, Amber.
Yeah. Hi, Julie. It's Amber Moe over at the Administrative Office of the Courts for the Idaho Supreme Court. And so this is a continuation grant for us as well. It is supportive of our domestic violence court up in Kootenai County, which is up in Coeur d'Alene, northern Idaho. The main purposes that I would say of this grant is to continue to provide and to enhance services through our domestic violence mentor court in Kootenai County. Those services include providing on-site community-based victim advocates. So we have community-based victim advocates in our courtrooms that provide not only support and guidance for our victims in our criminal domestic violence cases, but then can provide other services to them and provide kind of early access to victim advocacy. Another goal of the grant is to enhance offender monitoring and accountability, one through the court process, but also through enhanced probation and monitoring and risk assessment. So it was just super exciting listening to everybody's projects and hearing some of the great work that you guys are doing, or at least wanting to do. So I'm hoping that we all can connect in the future on projects that have similarities. But anyways, something that we're really hoping to, I think, improve is really looking at early access to victim advocacy, especially when we're talking about criminal cases. They enter the court system and it doesn't seem like they get hooked up with a victim advocate until a lot later on in the process, or at least than I would like them to be. And so that's one thing that we've really tried to look at, and I think had made some strides towards. And then of course COVID hit and we went all remote and we had less access to victim advocacy. So just really kind of looking at our processes and trying to figure out how we can improve that. And then a challenge, this domestic violence court has great collaboration, great partners, really good communication, but I think there's always things to look at and to improve on. And then just training. I think trying to bring in local and community training is great and exciting and wonderful, but a lot of work. A lot of work to bring in a training and bring in presenters and get everybody there and registered and it go off smooth with no technical issues. And so those are some of my challenges when we're looking at doing education within our community, enhancing services. I think training's a great way, but it is definitely a lot of work. So that's probably it, Julie.
Great, thank you, Amber. Is anyone on from Philadelphia Legal Assistance Center? All right. And is anyone on from Webb County?
Hello, Julie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, this is Anita Guerra, and I'm the grant writer for the Webb County Sheriff's Office. We're located in Laredo, Texas, South Texas, right on the border with Mexico. We have wonderful partners. Oh, our subject areas are our Safe Haven program under the Sheriff's Office, and then also court-based training done by our wonderful partners, which is the Casa de Misericordia Domestic Violence Shelter. They do amazing work. And then, of course, we have a lot of support from the judges, in particular, the 406 District Judge. He does amazing advocacy for our grant and for our Safe Haven. And of course, we're a continuation grant, so we're very grateful to the TA providers, which include the Center for Court Innovation. They really helped us a lot with our court-based training, especially when we had to dramatically shift to online when COVID hit. And of course, it goes without saying, the Inspire for Social Action, for Social Change, Social Action. Jennifer Rose and her partner, they really helped us a lot with implementing our policies and procedures for our Safe Haven. And of course, it goes without saying, we couldn't done any of this without OVW and Miss Julie and everybody from the Department of Justice Office of Violence Against Women. Something that we are hopeful for, we work very well together, but we'd like to bring in more of our stakeholders in the Webb County criminal justice system, including the district attorneys and the county attorneys. They work really well with us, but we would want to improve. I think that's something that other agencies have echoed, the coordinated community response to domestic violence, making it more seamless and more victim-centered. Always, that's the goal. It's never perfect. We need to improve on that. And then a challenge, unfortunately, COVID hit our community so badly and so severely, and we're just hoping that we can get back to the pre-COVID levels of services. That's our challenge and our hope too. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Anita. Just wanted to read what Jill from Safe Alliance in Charlotte, North Carolina has written in the chat. Their purpose area is court-based programs and services. They are hoping to improve the reporting of domestic violence in the Hispanic and Latino communities, which has historically been underreported. They are hoping to use bilingual court advocates to assist with the written translation of the DVPO e-filings. Because we are a first-time recipient, their challenge will be learning the new grants management system and payment system. And yes, using the systems will be a challenge probably for everyone who has not used them before, but we are here to assist. And is YWCA of Greater Harrisburg on the line?
Hi, I'm Shannon Pfeiffer, and I'm the project director for this project. We are located in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we provide supervised visits to families involved in domestic violence, and we also have a legal clinic that we have an attorney specifically for domestic violence. We serve a targeted population of underserved populations, such as those that are struggling financially, those of color, those living in a rural area. We are trying to make connections for domestic violence families. So as far as linking families to different resources throughout our organization and within the community, this is our second time with the grant. So the challenges that we have been facing are staffing issues. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And I'm going to circle back to Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence to see if we can hear you now.
I'm hoping this is doing it third time's a charm. Yes?
Yes, can hear you a little bit better. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yay. Okay. So Lucy Rios, I'm the executive director at the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Great to be with you all. We are located in Warwick, Rhode Island, and we have 2 domestic violence agencies that we've partnered with on this grant. We are working with Domestic Violence Resource Center, which is in the southern part of the state. It's more rural part of Rhode Island. And the Blackstone Valley Advocacy Center, which has a community center, a drop-in center right in the capital city. Our purpose areas are one, to establish the supervised visitation and safe exchange program, and also to work with our court-based programs to enhance our existing core advocacy program. So we are really excited about this grant because there aren't any trauma-informed, family-friendly child visitation and exchange centers managed by domestic violence programs in our state. So this will be the first two that we will be launching with this funding in Rhode Island. So, and it's definitely a need. So right now, all visitation exchanges happen either, in the community or at DCYF, our Department of Child and Family and Youth Services. So really excited that we've got this award to be able to launch this and provide this service to victims of domestic violence and their families. We are also going to be focusing on expanding the capacity of our core advocacy program. So we'll have specialized training focused on working with the LGBTQ and BIPOC communities. And so again, something that's going to have an impact on our services well beyond the life of this grant. And then in terms of a challenge, we're concerned, even though we haven't started yet, we are concerned about the volume of referrals that we will be receiving. We're, letting our partners know, the courts as well, to, that we're going to start slow. We're going to focus on the policies and make sure we have the spaces right and ready to go. And because there's such a need in Rhode Island for this type of service, we are concerned about the volume of referrals that we'll get.
Great, thank you. Yes, I'm glad you could share. And it's starting something new is always a challenge, and the expectations of the need and what's to come is something that our CHA providers are very helpful in figuring out and managing. Just a last call to see if EAC or Hopland or Philadelphia Legal Assistance Center is on. You can feel free to unmute. All right, not hearing any unmuting. I'm gonna keep moving on in the presentation. Thank you all so much for sharing. I know we don't get to be in person all together in this portion, and we found it really valuable to be able to have everyone speak about their projects and to really share the differences of what everyone is doing under the Justice for Families program. It's quite a dynamic program, but you can all hear the hopefulness that is little commonalities amongst all of the grantees, and also some of the challenges. I think even though you guys are doing different purpose areas and different combinations, some are new, some are continuation, that there is a lot of commonalities amongst the expected challenges and in the hope. So I hope that you all found it beneficial to hear from each other and get to know a little bit more about what your peers are doing under their projects. I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce our technical assistance providers, the two main ones that you will hear from most frequently, the Center for Court Innovation and Inspire Action for Social Change. So I'm going to hand it over if the Center for Court Innovation would like to unmute and introduce themselves.
Sure. Thanks, Julie. My name's Jenna Smith, and I work for the Center for Court Innovation. My colleague Danielle Pugh is also on the line. I can't see her, but she is there, so she may be waving. But just by way of introduction or reintroduction, for those of you who may know us, our organization spans really pretty much every purpose area under Justice for Families. So a purpose area is related to courts, court-based programs and services, civil legal services, training for court-based or court-related personnel, and training within the civil justice system. So it was great to hear all of your goals and some of the challenges that you're anticipating. We can absolutely help with those and have worked with grantees in the past on many of these issues. So if there's anything you're unsure about, definitely reach out, whether it's us, we can help you, or we'll put you in touch with the right folks. And then just so you're aware, we check in regularly with grantees. We also host some calls to offer more opportunities for grantees to share with each other. So you'll be receiving information about those. Please do share them with your wider project team. They're open to everyone within the community who's interested in training and problem solving on these issues. And then if you're not sure if what we're, whether we can help or not, we also work on a number of related issues that I heard some of you mention in your projects. So we have some funding related to abusive partner intervention programming, risk and lethality assessment, firearms, among others. And then we have a number of training curricula that we've developed specifically for Justice for Families grantees in mind. Training for judges, court personnel, and wider multidisciplinary stakeholder groups. And we work closely with our partners at Inspire Action for Social Change, who you'll hear from in just a minute, as well as some other technical assistance providers who have other areas of specialized knowledge. So again, just if you have a question and you're not sure, there's really no wrong door. We can help put you in touch with the folks who can assist. And you'll be receiving more information about our organization, as well as details about the upcoming new grantee orientation. So we hope you can make it and that you can send a team. We usually ask for at least one court representative, whether that's a judge or a court administrator or a DB court coordinator to attend. But yeah, that's us in a nutshell, and we're looking forward to working with you. So thanks so much.
Great, thank you, Jenna. So in concert with Center for Court Innovation, we have Inspire Action for Social Change. If you can unmute yourselves and introduce.
Hi, everybody. So nice to be with you. My name is Beth McNamara from Inspire Action. I am joined by Jennifer Rose on the call and Amrita Handra. And the three of us are here to support all things supervised visitation and safe exchange. So if that was part of your award and you plan to do that under your funds, we are here to help. If it wasn't a part of your award, we can still help you. If your community has other services that aren't currently funded, we can certainly support supervised visitation in any capacity in your communities. Or if you're exploring and need supervised visitation in your community, we are certainly happy to help as well. So we will be sending a little welcome and an introduction to give you a bunch of information. CCI and Inspire will send that together. If you are funded to provide supervised visitation, it will go to your grant award administrator, but we really want to be in touch as soon as possible to all of those who are touching your award. So if you're the grant administrator, you'll get that, but please communicate widely to all of your grant partners and all of your supervised visitation staff so that we can get them in our system and connected as quickly as possible so that we can start to provide some support and get you resources and get you tapped into all of those things. So you'll be receiving that later today. And our door is always open. So, like Jenna said, we work in concert with CCI and all of the other topic specific technical assistance providers. So we can get you to the right place. We can get you back to Julie or Mo if we're in the wrong spot, all of those things. So we're really here to help you as much as possible. There is no reason to recreate the wheel ever in a community. We really want to share resources. We want to connect you together as much as possible. And we want to give you the support we can so that you're as successful as you can. In 3 years, you're in a good place. And hopefully you'll be able to continue on. So thank you. Lovely to meet you. And we'll be working together a lot.
Great. Thank you, Beth. So beyond the Center for Court Innovation and Inspire, who you will get welcome letters from and have a point of contact and be working with them most of the time, we have a few other topic-specific technical assistance providers that have project-specific grants that focus on needs for JFF grantees. So in this slide, we've linked you to their websites, the Asian Pacific Institute on Gender-Based Violence. That one is a primarily assists court-based programs, service providers seeking to ensure meaningful language access for court users with limited English proficiency. So I know there was a couple notes about interpreters and translation, and that is a great one to reach out to. The Batters Women's Justice Project, BWJP, provides targeted technical assistance and TA on the SAFER approach. I know a few of you are going to be exploring and training and utilizing the SAFER approach in your projects, and we will definitely connect you with the Battered Women's Justice Project. And the SAFER approach, for those of you who don't know and might be intrigued by what this might be, is a domestic violence-informed multidisciplinary family court response to child visitation and custody determinations. So please reach out to us if you have any other questions about that, or if you'd like more information. You can also find it on their website. The National Center for State Courts is implementing policies, procedures, and technology solutions that enhance the protection of victim privacy and confidentiality. NCJFCJ has a few projects, but one of their main ones is providing training and technical assistance for custody evaluators and other professionals such as GALs, guardian ad litems, and on assessing and providing custody recommendations to the court for families with a history of domestic violence, including those where there are allegations of child sexual abuse. NCJFCJ also is our technical assistance provider around the Civil Protection Order Guide. So anything to do with civil protection orders, great resource there, as well as you will find that judicial training, national judicial training through the Enhancing Judicial Skills, you may have heard it called EJS in the past, is something that the NCJFCJ also handles and is a great national training that you can send your judges to. And finally, UDEMA, the National Center on Violence Against Women in the Black Community, is a new project and will be providing training and technical assistance to courts on racial equity and procedural fairness to improve the court processes in civil, criminal, and family courts addressing domestic violence. So if you have any questions about those, feel free to click on their websites, reach out to us, ask CCI, ask Inspire. We can all help you in connecting with the appropriate technical assistance. All right, so we had a lot of information in this and a lot of sharing of different projects, which we're super excited that everyone was had really great things to say about their projects and identifying, where they want to focus and maybe their challenges. At this point, we just wanted to kind of open it up. If you've thought of any questions, if we haven't got your question in the chat, feel free to unmute yourselves, put it in the Q&A. We'll just kind of leave this space for a few moments to see if there are any other questions.
Hi, Miss Julie. We were just wondering since we're a continuation grant and we still have our old grant open, how do we report on the safe haven? Like, do we split or do we just put everything in the current grant, and in the new grant we put that we're pending? Like if we serve, like, I'm just saying, like 100 families, do we put 50 families in one and 50 families in the other, or do we all put them on the initial grant and then zeros on the continuation grant? Or is that a question that we would ask Muskie?
No, that is a great question, and we can definitely help you with that. So if you have a current grant and it ends after this new award, so it ends after 10/1/22, so after this new award started, and you are continuing to work on those goals and objectives and using the funds from that previous award, you would include those numbers and all the work that's done on them on the past award that is still open. And that is through December 31st, 2022. If it goes beyond that, you'll end up dealing with another reporting period. But so if you had an open grant and it's July 1st through December or July 1st through September, you'll report on that. And if you had, and now you have a new award that started 10/1, again, budgets are not approved. So any work you would be doing on those would be at your own risk if you were to do a continuation on those. But you would be reporting anything that you had activity on the new award. Most of your first progress reports will be fairly blank. Either you're wrapping up your old services and you're focusing on that prior award, or you have done very minimal with continuation on the new award. So in Webb County, Anita, your circumstances, you will report fully on the prior award, and you will have zeros on the report for your new award. And that is to be expected, and that is okay.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, Julie.
Sure. And if you think about it some more and you have more questions, feel free to reach out to Mo or I. We can definitely answer those. And also in Just Grants, if you're worried that, I'm not sure if I need to do an FFR, if you go to each award in Just Grants, you will see that an FFR is populated for October 1 through December 31st, if your award was open, and for the new award, and a performance report will also have been generated. So you can always also consult Just Grants to see if there's a report in Just Grants, then you have one too.
Okie dokie.
Any other questions?
Julie, we have a question in the chat box from John. With the supervised visitation, safe exchange related trainings be primarily in virtual or for advocates and community partners, or in person? So for the
Julie, do you want me to answer that?
Yes, I didn't quite get the whole question.
So John is asking if supervised visitation trainings will be virtual or in person, and you will have an opportunity to do both. You can choose. Some options will be virtual, some options will be in person, and you'll get lots of choices along the way. Obviously, may change depending on the state of the world at the moment that training was planned, but we hope to have both options available for you.
Thank you, Beth, for handling that. Yes, and that kind of goes for all trainings. We're attempting to do some things in person, and we will try to counterbalance that with virtual options as well, to provide the most available training and technical assistance to grantees. Any other questions?
Julie, there's another question in the chat box. Is there an estimated timeline for the budget approval process? I'm going to cover that.
Yes, so I know Mo talked a lot about that earlier in the GAM slide about kind of the process. And I would say the best we can do, I can't give you a solid timeline. A lot of you have received that initial GAM. If you're not sure if you have, go into Just Grants into your award and see if it's on your work list. It's a budget clearance GAM. The best we can say is responsiveness. If you check Just Grants, or if you're not seeing that you're getting email notification, check Just Grants to see if it's there. Look under the grant manager comments and look for what has been asked for you to address, and address it fully and comprehensively the first time around. If you're not sure what the comments mean, reach out to Mo and I. We'd rather help you in that moment versus you submitting, us reviewing it, making sure you made the changes, and then sending it back to you to tell you if we noticed something wasn't changed. The more responsive you are to submitting it back, we are doing our best every day to check and make sure those GAMs are reviewed quickly on our end to see if they were, and thoroughly to see if they were met the changes that the Grants Financial Management Division requested. If we don't think they have, we will send it back to you. If we think they have been met, we will send it forward. So the best we can do is continuously be responsive and be as thorough as possible in responding to what the requests are to be changed in your budget. And I will say the grantees last year who did that had their budgets cleared before January. So it is really dependent on you as the grantee to be responsive and to be thorough and ask for clarification before you resubmit. And, you know, Mo and I go in every day. Those are our top priority because we want your budgets cleared and approved just as much as you do. So we're all doing our part, and then it goes to our Grants Financial Management Division to review and approve. Any other questions? All right, so we just kind of wanted to reiterate in our closing remarks to keep in contact with your OVW grant program specialist. We are here to help. Keep track of your orientation attendance on your tracking form. If you didn't get your tracking form, if you've changed grant award administrators since we sent it out, you can always look at ta2ta.org, or you can also reach out to Mo and I. Connect with technical assistants. They're here to help. You heard how friendly and open and wanting to assist they are. Connect and share resources and orientation webinars with your partners. All of this is available to them as well. So please share if they're interested and it's appropriate. Maintain good records. Definitely keep that grant file electronically, paper. Keep Just Grants up to date. That is your official grant file. And utilize trainings and resources listed in this presentation. We've tried to hyperlink as much as possible for your benefit so you have a one place to go through the presentation and click on things. So please use. Any other questions? Thank you so much, everyone, and we look forward to continuing to work with you, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.